So it is gonna record. I'm gonna switch rooms.
Did you add me as a co-host? Is that possible?
I thought you were added as a co-host, but
Already?
make co-host.
There's roller skates.
2 people are in the waiting
This
room.
is your friend, yeah?
Neither of them are allowed in yet.
Yeah.
Everyone can say it.
How do we launch the poll?
I need
Enrollment.
Nicole.
Oh, that's easy. It's just one question? Yeah. So I just launched that at what point?
Can we sit next to each other? And will it work if we sit next to each other, or will it get confusing? Can we do it in here so that it's quiet? Or do you need the
Yes, if we
charge?
sit together though,
Uh-huh.
here's my worry. So I'll be playing the video from my computer, so I do need to have my sound on.
So I'll stay out. I'll be here.
Yeah, and I have to leave them.
Okay. And can you go ahead and get your screen shared so that I've got the slides up? Yeah, just go ahead and have the first one up.
One of the big draws for myself personally is the diversity. One of the big draws for myself personally is the diversity.
Chat, it's in the chat. Oh, yes. Okay. see who's here, so I can see if nope, I need to see. Can we to? None of these are the people that I would have invited. Mommy, mom. Okay. Oh. Welcome. Joseph, are you here? Nope, you're gone.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
there you are. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want to make sure, so you are the Director of Enrollment Services, correct?
Director of the Enrollment Center.
Center, sorry. And is it okay if I say Joseph, or do you have a different title you prefer?
Yeah, Joseph is perfect. Thank you.
And we're gonna, as I shared, our 3 volunteers had some scheduling stuff. Jessica just messaged that she should be able to actually join, so she'll be able to do her slides. And Gerald is also going to join, but I'm going to plan on doing most of the talking. But then you can just sort of like answer questions as they come up in the chat, and then we have a Q&A at the end. I also am so grateful that you went in and noticed those little errors. Glad we could get those fixed.
Totally.
And then, but we're going to wait until exactly noon to let people in. And then kind of let people trickle in from there. We had 65 people register this morning, as of this morning. We only have like 2 people in the waiting room right now, which is kind of funny. I expected more than that, but we shall see how things go. Maybe people just all show up late.
All good. No pressure.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's so funny because last time we literally had like 30 people and then 171 tried to join. So I'm like, cool, we might just have the opposite this week. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. The unknown.
Yeah.
We can deal with it.
Yeah. Because, yeah, people are just fabulously unpredictable. Yay. What is that noise?
You can always go back once it becomes fill out another one.
There we go. Yay. Okay, it is 2 minutes till. Do you have anything exciting planned for your holiday? It's not a holiday weekend, but it's a weekend during the holidays.
Yeah, not really, but it is fun seeing. I just saw today Hayes Valley is having a holiday street walk on Friday, and then I saw Lower Haight is having one on Saturday. So maybe I'll kind of swing by those.
My husband runs a website called Holidays in SF, and you can find literally everything that is available. He gathers like all of it. It's kind of insane.
Wow, that's awesome. What service?
Huh?
What a service he's providing.
I know, he just like loves holidays. And so it started as a Google Doc, and I shared it on Main Street Mamas, and 300 people downloaded it. And so we were like, maybe we should make this like a thing. All right, I think it is time. I think we can start letting people in. I'm just going to go peek my head around the corner and make sure Giovanna is ready, and we will be good to go. 1 second. Are you good? All right, I'm gonna.
And if you wanted to make me a co-host, I'm happy to respond to questions in the chat.
Oh yeah, let me make you a co-host also. How many co-hosts can I have? Do you know?
I don't know, but
Because if I'm Giovanna's sharing the screen, so let's make sure.
you can definitely have more than one.
Okay, good. Okay, so you're a co-host.
And do you want me to respond to questions in the chat?
Yes, sorry. Yeah. So you can I'm going to do a little like, hey, we have question answer at the end. We want to make sure we don't miss anybody. So like best idea would be to make a note of your question and then ask it at Q&A. But if you just but we also do have these experts here that can answer questions as we go. And so, oh, Gerald is in the Zoom. Let me let him in. And then, hey, Gerald.
All right, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Okay, so I can, if you need me to present or whatever, just, I think it looks like okay, I'm not a presenter yet, so if you need me to share the slides or present, or someone else can do it and I can just talk.
Yeah, so Giovanna is going to be managing our slides.
Oh, okay, all right, great.
And then, I don't know if you met, Joseph is also on the call right now. He is our expert from the Enrollment Center.
Oh, okay, awesome.
The two of you can feel free to answer questions in the chat, even though I'm going to encourage people to hold their questions at the end. But if you see something and you know the answer, just feel free to answer them because people rarely wait, even when you ask them to.
Yep.
And then you can just sort of jump after key dates. If you want to jump in and start, I can be like, but I'm going to introduce you at the beginning. And do you have a title other than Gerald with the SF Lottery Group that you would like me to use?
That's not even my real title, but like, yeah, you can just say I'm one of the moderators of that group and have been helping people with this for several years.
Okay, perfect. That's how I will.
There's no official position here. It's just a bunch of volunteers. So.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, I'm gonna click admit all and we're gonna start and I'll just start talking and all that. Okay, we good?
All right. Yep.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Thursday to join us. We're going to give everybody just a few minutes to join and get kind of settled in. We know that noon on a Thursday can be very busy, so we just want to make sure everybody has a minute to join the chat. And we are so excited to see so many of you here today. We already have 26 excited parents joining us. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to get started, maybe just one more minute to make sure everybody gets logged in. And then I'm going to just do some introductions. But if you are wanting to be at the Lunch and Learn for parents applying to SFUSD, TK, and K, you are in the right space. All right, and we are going to go ahead and get started. We have Giovanna managing our slides. Thank you so much, Giovanna. So if we could go to our next slide. Giovanna is dropping a poll in, also just, again, giving everybody just one more minute. In that poll, what enrollment process are you in? Most of you are doing our pre-K, TK, K5. We have a few 6th through 8th and 9th and 12th. Beautiful. We'll give everybody like maybe 20 more seconds on the poll. Because we do see a few more people joining the room. Want to make sure we get everybody here. And also, and I know you should get the announcement as you come on, but I do want to remind everybody we are recording just because we want to make sure that this is available for people later if they need it. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and close the poll. If Giovanna can show us, we're going to share those results. Looks like majority of you, 61% TK, 48% K5, and 40. How do these numbers work? That does not make sense. It does not add to 100. I don't know how the poll works, but it's there. It's beautiful. Thank you for participating. I was like, wait, that's more than 100%. I don't know.
Oh, you left it multiple choice. That's why.
Ah, there we go. Thank you. Well, we live and we learn. We do better in the future. So yeah, thank you so much for answering our poll and participating. And going on, we're going to start with our agenda just so everybody kind of knows what's going on. Today's agenda. Oh, there we go. Oh, I skipped. I apologize. I got us out of order. So first, I'm going to introduce everybody so we know who all is here. I am Sarah, and I am with SF Parents Coalition. We are an organization that centers the needs of children and youth in San Francisco public schools by bringing together a diverse network of parents and caregivers to advocate for thriving equitable school system. And we envision a future where San Francisco is one of the best places in the country for children and youth of all races, socioeconomic backgrounds and abilities to grow up and get an excellent public education. We also are being co-hosted with Main Street Mamas. Our contributor from Main Street Mamas was not actually able to attend today, but they did do a significant amount of work building out this curriculum. So we want to make sure we acknowledge them and say thank you. And if you're not familiar, Main Street Mamas initially started out as a Facebook group in 2014 for the parents of the Haight neighborhood. But over time, it has blossomed into a robust community with nearly 20,000 members all over San Francisco. And the online collective has grown to become an indispensable resource for parents in the city. And so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but thank you so much for them. So grateful for everything they have contributed to today's discussion. We also have members of the SF Lottery Support Group here. We have Gerald, who will be monitoring some of the chat and helping answer questions. We do encourage you to wait till the end for your questions, but he is one of our experts who is here to help answer questions. And we have the SFUSD Enrollment Center with their director, the director of the Enrollment Center, Joseph, is here today also to answer questions and make sure that we give you the most accurate information for this process. So going on to our next slide for the actual agenda. So that was our welcome and introductions. Really quick, Joseph, if you could go ahead and wave so that people know who you are. And same for Gerald, if you are available to just wave so people see you. And then we also have Meredith, who is the executive director of the San Francisco Parents Coalition, here with us. And Giovanna, who is our community manager, here with us. And they will be here to answer questions, monitor the chat, and make sure that we don't lose any questions as we go. We're going to share a little bit about why parents love SF public schools, clarify who is eligible, go through the ins and outs of applying for public schools, and then we will have our question and answer. One piece of advice I would give you is, with 51 participants on the call, it is easy for questions to get lost in the chat. So if you wanted to open a side notes document to yourself, write your questions down and hold them for question answer, you're much more likely to get your questions answered. But we do have people who are monitoring the chat who will do our best to answer them as we go. And then we do have the upcoming timeline and events, because we want to make sure you know when those deadlines are and have all of that information for you available. So yeah, so that's our agenda. Moving on to our next slide, we will start out with our wonderful video so you can hear directly from SF parents about what they love about our public schools.
One of the big draws for myself personally is the diversity that the public schools offer, not only in students and teachers, but also in content.
She gets to do dance, she gets to do music.
It was really important for us to send her to a public school here in San Francisco, just so that she was in a school community that looked like the rest of the city.
And public schools to us were a representation of that.
We get to play, we get to learn. If we have like a little cut to get Band-Aids.
I really like my AP English class because we get the chance to do a lot of big group and class discussions.
And everyone's so nice to each other, and it's like a big sense of community.
The subjects can be different, but like you get to do like this project, you get to collaborate with other people, and you get to meet new people.
We play a lot and we do fun art projects.
It helps us have friends that also live in the neighborhood and come from many different walks of life and be a part of a very diverse community.
We've just been so impressed by how much the teachers really care about the students.
And really feeling like they're part of the neighborhood, part of a larger San Francisco community right inside our school. So that's been something that's been really special and amazing for us.
So yeah, thank you so much for just enjoying that video with us. We do have some really amazing parents that are dedicated to our schools. I am one of them. I have kids at public school at Alvarado. And so we are just here to kind of start off with that note that we have really great schools and we want to help you with the process of getting through them. So if we could go to our next slide. So why do parents love SF Public Schools? We love them for the programs. We love them for the environment. We love them for teachers who are dedicated to our kids, for administrators that care about our kids. We love them for the diversity, for their language programs, the arts programs. We really do have a beautiful collection of schools in San Francisco. And with that, you're able to view different schools, visit different schools, and there's different options to find the right school for your student. So that is one of the reasons we all love SF schools. Our next slide. The big question a lot of people have is just who is eligible. There have been changes, and so it can sometimes be confusing. So if your child is 3 on or before December 2nd, that would be pre-kindergarten. If they are 4 before December 2nd, that is also pre-kindergarten. If they are 5 between September 2nd and June 2nd, that is transitional. So if their birthday is in that window, and that is when they're turning 5, that is for transitional TK. And then if they're turning 5 during before September 1st, then they should be applying to kindergarten. And if they are turning 6 before September 1st, they should be going into 1st grade. So that is the eligibility and ages based on dates of your child's birthday. Next slide. So talking about TK, eligibility for TK will expand every year until 4-year-olds are eligible, until all 4-year-olds are eligible in 25-26 school year. But for the 24-25 school year, TK is for students who will be turning age 5 between September 2nd and June 2nd. So that is the same. Like, we want to look at that window when you're thinking about next year. Most of you, some of you might be here a little bit early because you're planning ahead. So you're worried about 25-26, but if you are looking at next school year, then you are still looking for the dates between September 2nd and June 2nd. Next slide. Okay, so where are the TK schools? So because we are like slowly expanding the program, there are 12 new transitional kindergarten programs that will open in 24-25. And we have this list here. There's a map. This is all available on the SFUSD website. And then there's 45 transitional kindergarten programs that are already available. So if you've only heard of the 45 that you see on your right, please know that there are 12 more on your left. So as you're looking at schools, there are a lot of options for finding the right TK for you. And now for the next slide. So kindergarten for 24-25 will be students turning 5 on or before September 1st of 2024. And so again, you're looking at that date of, will my child already be 5 before September 1st? Oh, good news. So some of y'all were concerned we weren't, the chat wasn't actually working for everybody. You could only message me, and we have now fixed it. So you can now message everybody. The chat is open. But yeah, so kindergarten is, if your child is will be 5 on September 1st, then you're going to send them, you'll be applying for the kindergarten process. And also just a note about loving our schools. That is my child's kindergarten teacher in that photo. Love Maestra Abby so much. Next slide. Okay, so where are the kindergarten schools? So these are the 2 links that you can find on the SFUSD website. And then we might be able to drop them in the chat, Giovanna. But then, so you are able to, these are the 2 links that you can use to find the right school for you, and then also sign up for a school tour. And we're going to talk about school tours in a little bit, but these are both really helpful links for understanding just the location and then also scheduling a time to visit that school. And thank you for dropping those in the chat. Next slide. Okay, so the ins and outs of applying. So for this next school year, families should complete the application. Applications opened October 20th, so they're open right now. You need to complete the application and submit it to the enrollment center before February 2nd, if you're looking at the lower grades. And that date, you're going to get all the dates at the end, so you don't have to remember it right now. But so that is the process, is you fill out the application through the enrollment center, and those applications are available now. Next slide. So finding the right school for you. One of the things one of the reasons this system exists and is so great is because it does allow you as a parent to have the opportunity to tour schools, look at schools, and consider what's the best school for my kid. So SFUSD has great programs. And so you're going to think about what your child's interests are, what they get excited about, and use that as a way of looking into which schools might be the best one for your kids. So you're going to think about language, interest in STEAM, interest in reading, and you can use the School Finder website that we just sent you to learn about which schools have which programs and then make your decision from there. You also want to think about your own family routine, early drop-off, early dismissal, aftercare, if the school is close to your home or if it's close to your work. Thinking about what will actually function for your life is an important part of thinking about the process of schools. And then also, when you find schools that match your criteria, understand, and you are thinking about your own needs, thought about what's right for you, not what's right for everybody else, but what's right for your family, then using the School Finder app, looking at the schools, you can set up a time to visit the schools, talk to parents, and get more details about each school to make your decision about how you're going to create your list. When you create your list, it's important to prioritize school choices on your list, aiming for a minimum of 5 schools for consideration. There are so many good schools, you will find more than 5 that you like. And if you're choosing really popular schools, make sure that you're taking that into consideration when you make your list, to ensure that your list works for you. You want to make sure that you actually list out all the schools that might work, and then think about the schools closest to you that will work for your family to ensure that you don't end up in a school across town. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we talk about how the lottery is broken down, but you really do want to look at more than 1 or 2 schools and think about all the ways that these really great schools might serve your family. Next slide, please. All right, so now we are at key dates. So these are our key dates. The applications are available. We already know that. But then the first application deadline to apply for 9th grade at the Ruth Aswana School of Arts and Lowell High School, that deadline is a little bit earlier. So it is December 15th. That's coming up in 2 weeks. Most of you that will not apply because we're looking at TK and K. But the main deadline that does apply to most of you who came today is February 2nd. And I see that Jessica has joined us. She is the creator of these slides, if she would like to take over. We have amazing volunteers today, and I know it was hard for them to all get here. Jessica, are you wanting to hop on? Thank you.
So these key dates, I don't think we have to go over them one by one. I assume that this slide deck will be available to participants after the fact. So we just wanted to get all these dates in one place. So we can go to the next slide. So a quick overview of your application process. You can list as many schools as you'd like. in past iterations of this assignment process, they used to limit how many schools there's been a lot of different versions of this. Where you put a school on your list does not impact your chances of being assigned there. That is a common question. If you put something as 5th choice and your neighbor put it as 1st choice, your neighbor does not have a better chance of getting it, except that the way the lottery works, you can technically, quote unquote, win a spot at multiple schools, and you will only be assigned to the school highest on your list where you won a spot. So if you put a school you really want 1st, but you put it 5th for some reason, you would lose that spot if you got assigned at your 1st through 4th choices. I hope that makes sense. I don't think I just explained that the best way possible. Every school runs a separate lottery. First, they assign applications to people who have tiebreakers. Hold on, I've got my Zoom thing in the way of me here. And then they take all the remaining spots and run a lottery just with anyone who applied for it in any position. You will be assigned to the school highest on your list where you won a spot. For example, if you get a spot at the schools you listed as number 3, 5, 9, and 12, you'll be assigned to school number 3. But there's no weighted algorithm which makes you less likely to get a spot if you put it lower on your list. So some people say, you know, our neighborhood school, we like it okay, but there's 5 schools we like better. But if we put it in our 6th choice, we would be less likely to get it. The answer is no. Okay, next slide. The tiebreakers. So AA schools are schools that have an area attendance. That's what AA stands for, attendance area. And some schools are categorized as citywide and they do not have an attendance area. And some schools are neighborhood schools and they do have an attendance area. And the tiebreakers at those 2 different types of schools are slightly different. Every address in the city has an AA school, but there might also be a citywide school that's near you that doesn't have a specific zone or area. So the tiebreakers, the priorities for who gets spots at neighborhood AA schools, the first priority goes to siblings. The second priority goes to students who attend the pre-K or the TK at that school if they also live in that neighborhood. If you ended up going to a TK at an AA school, but you don't live in their area, you don't have that priority. Then there's the CTIP program, CTIP, it's often referred to. That is an equity effort by the school district. So students who live in the zip codes or the census tracts that have the lowest test scores get a priority to choose where they want to go to school. It can change a little bit as the test scores and census changes. I'm not sure how often it's updated, but if you enter, go
I'll
ahead.
just mention it's much smaller than zip codes. It's a census tract, which is probably only like, you know, it could be as small as like 2 buildings or something like that. Is fine grade. And actually, I believe has not been updated in more than 10 years either. So.
Okay. You can find out if you live in a CTIP area, when you enter your address in the school lookup, here's a link here. It'll tell you, there's a line for, do you have this? Are you in CTIP? And it'll say yes or no. And then the 4th priority for AA schools is if you live in the attendance area, and then after that, it's open spots for anyone in the city. Okay, next slide. And then the tiebreakers at citywide language programs. I know there's a lot of interest in language programs in SFUSD. A sibling who also is on that language pathway has the highest priority, then a student who's in the language pathway already, then a sibling, and then CTIP, and then it's open to the rest of the city. Next slide. How many schools should you list? That's a personal preference. I know that the last time I filled out an application, an SFUSD application, I was applying to my feeder middle school and I was pretty confident we'd get it. And I listed 3 others and I had a hard time even submitting my application without listing 5. This was 2 years ago, but the student view and the way that, or parent view and the way that the system has been set up, it really wants you to list at least 5. So we recommend you list at least, you don't have to, but we recommend at least 5. As Sarah referenced before, if you don't get any school on your list, the district's policy is to assign you to the school that is geographically closest to your home where there are open spots. Now, depending where you live, that might be several miles away. It doesn't take into account uni routes or traffic or anything like that. So, so think about whether there are schools that maybe aren't necessarily on your radar, but that you would like more than a school that is under subscribed and not near you. So we talked about picking your priorities, and so for me, a priority was the start time, and then I filled in my list with schools that had a different start time, which wouldn't have been as good for my family, but were still close, so much easier to access than if we had to go across town. We all like to talk about hidden gems. Sometimes it's hard to find hidden gems because they're hidden, but talk to parents, see where they're at school, see what they love. If someone says we love our school and you don't really know much about it, maybe do some minimum research and put it on your list. It is sometimes reassuring to hear how many people love their schools in the city. Okay, next slide, please. There are multiple rounds. So if after round 1, you are not happy with where you were placed, you have some more choices. In round 1, that's when there's the most open spots, and that's when everyone is assigned to a school. And if you are happy there, you just enroll there and you're done with this process. If you're not happy there, there's a round 2. You can enroll in your assigned school in round 1 and then submit an application for round 2. I think it's worth noting, sometimes this gets overlooked. Round 1 is the only round when you will be assigned a school that's not on your list. In future rounds, if you don't get a school that's on your list, you will not be assigned to any school. So if you don't enroll in your round 1 school because you think it's too far away, it's not what we wanted, whatever, and then you apply for round 2 and the wait pool round and you don't get that school, you won't have an assignment. You can always get an assignment. The district has a legal obligation to give you a public school spot. So you don't have to worry that you won't be able to send your child to school, but it might not be at a school of your choice. So we always recommend enrolling in your round 1 assignment and then going forward with round 2 and the wait pool round if you want a different school. In round 2, it's just like round 1. You can list as many schools as you want. But note that you should, if you get assigned to a school on your round 2 list, you will lose your round 1 assignment. So only list schools you like better than the one you got in round 1. And then the next round is the wait pool round. And that's when you pick one school and you add your name to the wait pool. It is a lottery, although all the same tiebreakers apply. So, sorry, chat is popping up for me. All the same tiebreakers apply. So if you live in the neighborhood, you will have a priority for a spot there over people who don't live in the neighborhood. Often by the time you get to the wait pool rounds, the highest priorities, those people have all gotten spots where they want. So those don't always come into play, but they can. If people come into the city midsummer, or sometimes twins are a factor in that. So you pick one school, you're wait listed at that school. Last year, for the first time, the district, and maybe the district can speak to this, but they sent out letters with a number that said what number you got in they did a lottery and assigned everybody a number, so you knew. Okay, Joseph, are they gonna keep assigning numbers? Do you know? That was new this year.
For the wait pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something new we did this year. So if you went through it and you have feedback, I would love to hear it. But we think and we made that change this year because we hoped that it would be a positive change for families to have more information about where they set on their wait pool at the start of that process. I mean, around the start of school. So we plan to continue that in the future.
Okay, I think more information is always good. That's generally the feedback that we get in our lottery group. The majority of movement in the wait pool round, some happens over the summer, but a lot of it happens after school starts, which I know can be hard to start at one school and make a switch right away. But it's based on people not showing up on the first day of school. They don't know that those seats are open until someone who was assigned that spot just doesn't show up. So you have to have a little flexibility there, but they do release wait pool numbers over the summer that tell you how many people are in wait pools for the different schools. So you may see that the school you had picked has a huge weight pool, and some other school that you also liked has a much smaller weight pool, and you can switch at that point if you want to. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. I thought we had one more slide that we just skipped over. That one. Oh, no. Oh, yep, that one. Just because this comes up, people have heard rumors that the assignment system is changing. The district has spent many years talking about a new enrollment system. It is not in place, and anyone who's attending this probably doesn't need to worry about it. Right now, the plan on the website is for the new enrollment system to be in place for the 26-27 school year, but that has been a moving target, and it has already changed several times, so it might change again. If you're curious, the new system will be based on zones, and you will only be able to apply to schools within your zone. But we don't have to get into it because it's not happening yet. TK has been a moving target because the state passed a law that means that all students will be eligible for TK, but it's happened in a rolling basis. So a few more months of eligibility are added every year until I think next year is the last year, and then all 4-year-olds will be eligible for TK. Starting this year, TK is using the same tiebreakers as K through 5. Previously, they were not using a AA tiebreaker. So that's a change this year. Not every school has a TK, so your AA school might not have a TK, but if your AA school has a TK, you will get a priority for that spot. And then starting the following year, students who are at a TK in a school can just stay there the same way you stay between kindergarten and first and second. You don't have to reapply every year. Because TK is new and there was limited eligibility previously, everyone who's in a TK would have to reapply just like everyone applying for kindergarten. But starting not this year, but the following year, TK students will just be able to roll over their enrollment. And then lastly, we wanted to note that the Enrollment Center is considering some changes to the current system, not the new assignment system, but just some tweaks. They've been making tweaks to the system. For example, when I enrolled in this system, there were 5 rounds. Now there's only 3. They make small adjustments, I think, based on feedback and what works and what doesn't work. So they are talking about making some changes to the current just number of rounds and the way they work. They are hosting a Facebook Live event on December 12th to talk about those proposed changes, and they are welcoming feedback. So we encourage everyone to be on the lookout for that event and to attend and listen and provide feedback. But that won't impact people who are applying. If your application is due in February, nothing is going to change. It is what it is right now. This is for the future. Okay, now I think I'm done.
Thank you so much. So now most of you held your questions, either that or you're just like a very confident group with not a lot of questions. But my assumption is that you're here because you have questions. And so we are going to open up the time for our experts that are with us to answer questions that you have. You can either drop those in the chat or raise your hand. But we do want to make sure that your questions are getting answered. So my encouragement to open that up now. And if you did see, some people did, like one of the questions that was already asked, someone asked for round 2, would it only be for schools that still have open slots, or all schools still an option? The answer for that is applicants can list all schools in round 2, but assignments will only be made to schools that have open slots. And so these are great questions. And we would love for you to ask questions, either raise your hand or drop them in the chat. Great.
For the rounds, we can go back maybe while we're just sitting here, we can go back to that key dates slide. There's like a couple months, I think, between the round, a month to 2 months. But so round 1, the applications are due February 2nd, and round 2, the applications are due April 19th, and the weight pool round happens over the summer.
Thank you. And we will be sending the slides out so it's easier to check this. And then also links to the website, because SFUSD has made a lot of this, well, has made all of this available. One of the questions is, I am considering having my child attend K, not TK. However, does it increase their chance to get into our top K school if we enroll her for TK?
I don't.
I feel like
So
that's a Joseph
if that
question.
school has a TK, then, and you live in that neighborhood, then you would have priority to go into K. So that would increase your spots. Right now, the data that I've seen is TK is very in demand because they're still rolling out spots. And I think the school district, it's just been a moving system. And I don't know if Joseph wants to speak to that, but I think it might be harder to get a TK spot at the school you really want than it might be to get a K spot. But yes, if you're already enrolled there in TK, well,
And
if
just
they
to be
enroll in
clear,
TK, yeah, go ahead.
it's for that particular TK. If you're enrolled in a different TK, it doesn't give you any advantage to get into that one. You know, if you want a K school and you enroll in a different TK, that doesn't give you any particular advantage going there. So, but yes. If you're the same one and you live in the AA, then it does.
Except that starting, Joseph, I
Oh,
think
right.
next year,
And also, yes.
if they enroll in TK and it's not their neighborhood, then next
Then
year
they do get the
they'll roll
automatic
over
flow
into K,
forward.
right?
That's correct. Yes, yes. Then they'll get the automatic roll forward as well. Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
I think that's right. So I'll just say that yes, if you attend a TK program in 2024-25 next school year, your child will be guaranteed a kindergarten seat at that same school and program in 2025-26.
Whether you live in the neighborhood or not.
Regardless of whether you live in the neighborhood or not.
Yeah.
Attending TK next year will not give you any advantage when it comes to like TK applications if you want to apply to different schools or to different programs like language programs, even if it's at your same school for kindergarten.
Okay.
So attending TK will guarantee you admission into kindergarten at your same school and program, but it doesn't give you any other advantage in the kindergarten application process.
Real quickly, I see a question. Is there a lottery for tiebreakers? If there's not enough spots for CTIP, how do they pick? Yes. For each category of tiebreaker, there's a lottery. Now, usually for the top categories like siblings, that's not an issue because there's enough space for them all. The neighborhood tiebreaker, AA, the last one, is the one that you most often see. Some neighbors get in, maybe not all neighbors get in. It depends on the school. But yes, that is a lottery within a category. There is a question about aftercare. That is a great question. Joseph, here's some feedback. Aftercare is a hot topic. It is managed at different schools. It is run by different programs. It varies from school to school. You kind of have to research each specific school to find out what is offered. And some of them have relationships with outside providers for aftercare. So if there's not enough spots on site, there's a way to get the kids to the offsite program. Some schools don't. And you kind of have to look at each school you want to and ask. And then the other thing about aftercare is some schools will say that they guarantee a spot for everyone who wants it, but you have to keep in mind that that relies on their ability to hire enough people. And some years that's been an issue, that even though the program is willing to staff up as necessary, if they're having a hard time hiring people, then that's going to be an issue.
Thank you.
So there was a question. Oh, sorry. So there's a question about like how people know what schools are popular. There's a couple of ways, but the easiest is the district publishes enrollment statistics every year. So you can take a look back and it shows you highlights about the number of requests per seat, for example, and the number, by rank. So so you can take a look at that and see like which ones tend to get a large number of applicants per seat. There's also, I think, there's also within the SFUSD lottery support group a crowdsourced spreadsheet that kind of like helps indicate whether a school has admitted everyone from the attendance area, or whether there were people who were not able to get in who had that attendance area tiebreaker. That's only applies to a handful of schools, but that's another indicator as well.
Thank you so much. So
But
I'm gonna hop in because what I want to do for the rest of the questions is I'm gonna read the questions so that we can make sure we are like go because some of them are getting moved to the top. But
Okay, but Sarah,
okay.
can I just address one
Yeah,
last? I think that looking at what are popular schools is a really flawed way to try to apply to school. And I think that that is all I mean, often that's based on what neighborhoods are most gentrified or, where, word of mouth that people don't even, no one has been to those schools. I think most people who go to a school in their neighborhood love it. Maybe not everybody does. So for me, when there was that earlier list that we saw about how to pick which schools to apply to me, logistics are the most important. Like, what can you get to? You're going to be driving to the school or taking Muni to the school or walking to the school twice a day for 6 years at least. And some days it could be 3 or 4 times a day when there's a back to school night or you have a parent teacher conference. And it's, to me, I just couldn't conceive of picking a school that is a 30 to 40 minute drive each way. I mean, that's so much of my life to spend in the car. So to me, what's most important are logistics. What is popular to other people? Language programs are super popular, and I didn't think they were right for my family. So I think you have to take popular with a grain of salt. There's some links there that tell you which schools receive the most applications. So I guess that's a hard way to look at that number. But otherwise, I know you can't go to all the schools and visit them, but go to the ones that are near you and feel the vibe. Go there on the weekend, play on the open schoolyard, just see if it feels like a fit. Okay, sorry, back to you, Sarah.
It's okay. Yeah. So one of the questions, if you are in pre-K, do you need to reapply to stay in the same school for TK?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Right, Joseph? Yes.
If you want to go to TK, you need to apply for TK. When students turn 4, they're eligible to go to pre-K or TK, and that's a decision that you can make. You don't have to move your kid into TK just because they've entered that eligibility range. So if you just want to stay in pre-K, you don't need to reapply. But if you want to transition to TK, then you do need to submit an application.
Thank you. Do you know how many spots will be available after round 1 before going into round 2 or a wait pool?
We don't. So when you look at, we're looking at the key dates, you see there's like an accept decline process. So we give everyone a round 1 offer. Families need to tell us whether they want to accept that seat or decline it. So that's a good thing for you to remember. When you get your assignment, you need to respond back to us to hold your seat. The declines will determine how many seats are available, but then also like during the round 2 assignment run, I think Gerald said this in one of the written responses earlier, like things are going to change during the round 2 assignment run. So we don't publish and we don't even see clearly before the run exactly how many seats are going to become available during round 2 to assign. So, I mean, the best advice is just to list schools in your true order of preference. It's really not possible to identify kind of what all of your guaranteed or realistic options for round 2 is. You should just tell us what you want. And if it can happen, then we'll give you that new assignment.
Thank you. So this was already answered in the chat, but I'm going to read it out loud just in case anybody missed it. If your child is born on June 8th of 2020, meaning that they're 6 days too young for TK, would SFUSD consider an exception for TK enrollment? Or does the day birth of June 2nd, 2020, is it a hard deadline? The answer is yes. The number is a hard deadline. I just want to make sure everybody knew that because I know that's a very common question. People are like, how flexible is this? It's not. That's the deadline. And then do we know the TK birthdays? Sorry, it moved while I was reading it. Do you know the TK birthdays for 25-26?
Isn't it everyone? Isn't
It's
25-26 the final year? So if your child turns 4 during the school year, that's your TK year.
Yep.
So I think it's September 1st to August 30th. Of
whatever it is, yeah.
whatever the
September
correct
1st,
birth
August
date would be.
31st.
Okay, so everybody is eligible. Okay. Would siblings get priority over the TK student that a guaranteed spot to attend kindergarten?
No.
Okay.
They will basically be treated as someone who's already enrolled. Just
Okay.
like if a sibling applied for a 2nd grade spot, they would not get a priority over someone coming from 1st grade at that school.
Giovanna shared, would siblings in AA area get priority over the TK program guarantee for K? So no, correct? Because the kid just is
Correct.
going. Okay. This is a question for language pathways, also already answered, but I'm going to say it so everybody hears it. For language pathways, if you think your child will test as fluent, but aren't sure, do you just list the fluent option in the application, or can you list all the options? How does it work? You can just list fluent option, but you will take an aptitude test and they will adjust the program to the one you're eligible for. So this district actually does an eligibility test if you claim fluency.
Yeah, can I just say a little more about that? So this is for language programs that the school district has at several schools. They're called dual language immersion. So they enroll some students who are fluent in the language or already speak it, and some students who don't know the language at all and are ready to learn it. So this question is about like, okay, which of those two options does my kid fit in if they know some of the language? So yes, I agree with Gerald's answer. And I'll just add, if you submit an application and you haven't heard from us in several weeks to schedule a language assessment, you should give us a call and just check on it. Because it's possible that if you fill out an application and say there are 4 questions you have to answer on the application about language that's used in the home and like that the student knows, and if you say English, 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 and then you submit an application that requests to be in the Spanish native speaker, we might just say, okay, we're just going to change that to English. But if that's not right in your case, then we want to make sure that your child has a chance to take the test. So we should reach out to you to clarify that. But if you don't hear from us, I invite you to reach out to us.
Thank you. Okay, will applications for TK immersion be automatic acceptance if sibling is attending the school? And if so, what if the older sibling is transferring and the transfer happens after the main round? Then would the younger sibling apply to the subsequent rounds and select older siblings attending the school? Would that still be a guarantee?
That feels very specific and complicated.
Yes.
If an older sibling is enrolled at that school at the time of the application, then you will get a sibling priority. If that older sibling transfers away from the school after you have already received your assignment, that is not going to impact your assignment. They were not going to take it back. There's no automatic enrollment for anybody, like ever, except I know we just said TK. Starting next year, TK is going to be considered part of, it's going to be TK through 5 at the schools that have TK. So once you're enrolled in TK, you're enrolled at the school. And once you're enrolled at a school, you don't have to reapply again, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, whatever. That is the only thing that's automatic. But if you need to apply to go to a new school, there's no, just because you have a sibling there or the language, none of that is automatic.
Yeah, you will have, so if you have a sibling attending the school, and not just attending the school, but in the immersion program, then you will have sibling priority, to that program in the category for whether, you're native or non-native speaker, but you'll have sibling priority. So probably you'll be in, but that's not the same as automatic. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then the part about the older sibling transferring, I'm just really confused about it. So.
Okay. So we have another question. If we could, and Giovanna, if you could find the slides that answer the question around the dates for TK and K, so we can just visually see it again. So the question is, I'm a little confused about when to apply, about applying for TK. My child turns 5 October 25th. October 2025. So according to the timeline of the SFUSD website, she can go into TK in 2025. And thank you, Jessica, for adding a link to explain it. Can you tell me, explain the timeline again?
Yeah, I think for a child with this birthday, they would be eligible for TK in 2025-26.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Jessica Renko's already answered this, but again, I think more than one parent will probably want to know, if a child has an IEP, does that affect the application process? And so if your child will be in general education, there is no impact. But there are services at all schools for kids with IEPs in general ed. If your child is in special day class according to your IEP, then you would be in the lottery for the SDCs that are applicable. Also, I would encourage you, if you have like a 3 or 4-year-old who you think might need an IEP, my kids have an IEP, and I actually didn't realize that they were eligible for services until they were like ready to start kindergarten. But you can actually get services for your child before kindergarten. You just need to like go through that process. That's like a whole bigger conversation, but I do think that it's important for parents to understand that the school district is available to help you sooner than kindergarten. And so again, there's no wiggle room. The dates are the dates. And then a 4-year-old can go to either pre-K or TK. That is accurate, correct?
Yes.
And then what are the differences between those two things?
I actually don't have a perfect answer to this, so I wonder if anyone else
I've
does.
had a short summary, I guess. I think I've written one before. I'm going to try to recall what it is. One is the application process is very different. The pre-K program is not part of the lottery. That's one thing to remember.
Also, PK is not free for most people.
Yeah. Second, PK is not a free program. TK is. The other is PK is more similar to what you might expect to see at a private pre-K program. You will pay for it. It is also has different requirements for student teacher ratios as well. In TK, by the district standard is, I think it's up to 22 in TK, 22 children per teacher. In PK, I believe the adult to child ratio is to be 8-1, something like that. In PK rather, did I say that? And I think the curriculum is similar, but but perhaps slightly different, because PK classes will also include younger children.
Yeah. For the TK programs, are you assigned a program closest to you once you apply, or are there tiebreakers? So my understanding is, so TK it's the same process, correct?
Yeah, correct. So the tiebreakers that are in use are same as in elementary starting this year. So you can look at the elementary attendance area schools tiebreaker if you're applying to TK at a elementary school that has an attendance area. And you can look at the elementary citywide schools if you're applying to a TK program that's not at an attendance area elementary school. Like some of our TK programs are at early education schools, or they're at K-8 schools. So generally, I really encourage people to check out the tiebreakers webpage. I use it very often, so I recommend it.
Thank you so much. Okay, for TK, not everyone has an AA school, which is area attendance school. Does that mean those without an AA for TK are somehow at a disadvantage?
Yeah, I mean, you are at a disadvantage when you're applying to TK programs in different attendance areas. When you're applying to citywide TK programs, like I just said, at early education schools or at K-8 schools, then you're not missing out on anything. And I guess I would reframe it like the attendance area tiebreaker exists to give families who live in an attendance area with a TK program priority to enroll. And unfortunately, just because of the way TK eligibility has expanded and TK programs have been rolled out in SFUSD, not everyone has that, has access to a TK program in their attendance area for 2024-25.
Yeah, but it should be noted that everyone who wants to attend TK can attend TK. Not necessarily at the, a particular program or at the one that's closest to you, but you will get, and you have to be able to get a seat, which is going back to the previous question, another difference between PK and TK.
And this question was direct message to me. My child's birthday is June 29th. It's one day after my daughter's birthday. Does that mean he doesn't fit TK for any year since he won't be turning 5 during the year? So we would just plan on starting kindergarten in September after he turns 5. For the 24, and that is true for the 24-25 year, but not next year, not the following year, correct?
That's right.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, kids whose birthdays are in between June and September of this year will not be eligible for TK, because that expansion hasn't gone all the way for them.
All right. So yeah, so that is accurate. Their child would not qualify for TK and would just start school before turning 5 with that date.
Oh, wait, actually, sorry, that birthday was the birthday here December 9th? Because
this
I
one's
think,
for June 29th.
oh, okay, sorry, I was looking at one in the chat, someone had a December, which they are eligible, so, yeah.
So I think we have covered all the questions in the chat. Does anybody else have a question for us?
Sarah, do you just want to address how a person who wants this recording or the slide deck could get it?
Oh, yes. So if you want the recording, we do have it recorded. When you registered, you gave us your email address. So we will send a follow-up email that has the slide deck in it. And then I don't know, and we probably won't send the recording right away, just because it takes more time for us to format it and move it, and it's easier to get the slides out. But I believe we're going to try to put the recording up on our website so that it's available that way for people to see. And then, but we do have a few more quick questions coming in. But we will make these available. You'll get the slides in email, and we'll put the recording on our website. And this is so we have some questions about math and literacy coming in. Are any of the schools doing elementary math different from other schools? We have a few people that are saying like, wait, I have the same question. Joseph has already answered that John Muir Elementary School has done innovative stuff with math instruction.
Joseph, aren't they enrolling that John Muir pilot to 3 other schools next year?
That is correct. Yeah, I was just Googling to see if I could find a link about that.
I should mention regarding this is that in SFUSD elementaries, the way math and reading and really everything is taught is actually very much driven by the classroom teacher, or up to the classroom teacher, and that's influenced by their school and their administration and the materials they are, but they have a lot of freedom to teach things the way they want. So the district and the schools can provide standards and curriculums and material, but the way it's taught can vary quite a lot, even between different teachers.
And thank you, Joseph, for dropping the link about math strategy and expansion, so you can read more about that there. And then somebody did ask about charter schools, and it's a different process. It's actually a different thing. And so we don't actually have answers available for that in this chat today. Okay, so we thank you so much to our presenters. Huge round of applause. Thank you for everyone for being here. Thank you for the Enrollment Center for taking time to be here. Thank you for our volunteers from the lottery group for being here. To my own team and my staff, thank you for being here with SF Parents. We look forward to connecting with you more, answering more of your questions. SF Parents would like to make a plug that we have our monthly meeting next week. And so if you are not on our newsletter, you can join that newsletter and learn more. You can join our Facebook forum. There's a lot of ways to stay connected. Even follow us on Instagram. And then also we are hosting a live. For some of you, the live might not be the right choice because it is explaining a process that If you are applying for next year, will not impact you because we're just getting an update on changes for the following year. But it's still going to be a great opportunity to have your voice heard and say, like, we're going to present the possible changes with a survey. And so when the survey, you can say, like, actually, I love this idea. I'm so excited you're moving forward. But it is a different process, not the one that you will be going through. If your application is due in February, the live we are hosting is not about your process. But we would still love to have your feedback, because that is one of our primary goals at SF Parent Coalition, is to make sure that parents' voices are heard as the district makes big decisions. Thank you again to everyone for coming. So glad you were able to make the time to be here with us during our lunch.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.